Yeah, I know you can build them out of pallets. Pallets don't tend to last very long, and you rebuild it and it's fine. You know, I've built them out of pallets in the past. I just want something a bit more substantial. It's going to last a little bit longer and was going to make me some better compost. It's fine to try different things. So lots of people are going to tell me, yes, you can just build it out of pallets. I know, I have done it, and they look great for a couple of years, but then they all fell apart, and I built them again, and they look great and fell apart. So I'm hoping this is going to last a few more years, especially with a roof on top. Should keep the wet off it, should keep the wet off my compost, should make better compost. But we'll see, won't we? Doesn't always have to be the cheapest way. Okay, the last few months we're having a real push on infrastructure. Got in my second greenhouse, got it all kitted out, got it nice. My next plan is to build some new compost bins. My last ones are kind of fallen apart. I built them out of pallets. They lasted a few years, but what I could do is some a bit more kind of permanent, a bit better organised. I've been using tumps the last 2 years and it's just not ideal. I'm not very good at managing it in that way. But I want some, and I want to put some roofs on it. I'm going to make them really, really fancy. I want them to be semi-rat proof. I don't want the big guys in there. So I'm going to use some mesh on the inside of it as well, try and keep them out. So see if that can help. I'm going to build it on slabs. But first of all, I need to clear up the mess that I've made here. If I'm honest, I'm not actually sure where I'm going to put this first lot. I'm going to do them as a 12-foot bay, so it'll be 3 4-foot. Maybe down the side of here. We'll clear this soil up first, I think. Never seem to have a battery that holds a charge. Luckily I've borrowed a little tractor. I got that here at the moment with a chipper on the back. I can jump start the dumper. I can stop it now until I'm bugged up. Okay, so I've decided on the place. I'm going to go here. I'm going to be about 3 foot high, 4 foot deep, and 3 bays at 4 foot. I think that's what I'm going to do anyway. But I am probably going to level this a little bit. I wouldn't bother if I didn't have a digger. I'm not going to lie. I'd just go with what it is. But because I've got the digger, I'd scrape a bit of soil off there, put it down there, and kind of make it a little bit leveler. And put some slabs on the bottom. Now, to get anything kind of mouse and rat proof is really, really difficult. What I'm going to do is put some slabs as a base, and this is going to be sat on top of the slab. So it's not going to be perfectly rat or rodent proof. And I'm going to leave a gap, 1/2 inch, between each slab to let the worms come on up through. Is my thinking. Let stuff drain away as well.
Recommend steering clear of any food or drink product with this additive, as they usually are, which some people can still be affected. Eat, and whether you should be eating the two. Many countries have devised levels of caffeine consumption have been linked with having a lower birth weight than doctors, due to supposed health-promoting effects on people.
So just roughly laying these slabs down, leaving a gap in between them. They're 2 foot slabs. So each one of these will be a bay. I'll go down here. They don't have to be perfectly flat. I'm probably going to put some mesh in the bottom, so we'll see how we get on. It's just on soil. It's crap really, but it does kind of just get it done, doesn't it? By the time we've got stuff on top of there, it'll settle down, it'll look alright. I've got loads of these second-hand slabs, so it's not like it's a problem. From where I moved the greenhouse before, I had that kind of area kind of slabbed down, even though it was all under soil. I never turned down free slabs, so.
a day. But, importantly, only when it was dropped. Currently, most grid-hold cured meats like salami are considered a traditional staple of the Russian diet, regardless of curing, such as marlin, swordfish, shark, and bluefish.
So at the moment, that is the base for the compost bins. Okay, so this is a good lesson of kind of working within your constraints of your materials, which is kind of how you should tackle every job really, because it can make things a lot easier if you just look at what you've got. I've got 12-foot lengths of timber, which work well. They're going to have a bit cut off them because it doesn't quite go, it's a bit under 12 foot. And then I've got these bits of mesh, which are just over 3 foot high. So that's how high I'm going to build my frames, so that these can go on them. That's plenty high enough as well. I think that'll be fine. Obviously with 3 bays I can fill one. It soon squashes down with compost, even when you fill it right up. Yeah, nothing too complicated. I'll probably do halving joints. Now I probably should talk about timber selection, as some people are petrified of tackling this timber, being in contact with their food and things. Now, plenty of people build their raised beds out of it. Garden Organic, no. The Organic Association say it's fine to use it for making compost or for having soil that's in touch with growing food. I'm going to have a mesh between this and the wood a little bit, so it's only going to be touching in a few places. It will last a bit longer than just softwood. Could have built out of hardwood. I was trying to build this out of readily available materials, and treated 4x2 is about as readily available as it comes. Obviously you can build this out of 3x2 as well. I don't think it would make much odds, to be honest with you. There's not that much difference between cost between 3x2 and 4x2. So I thought I'd just go for the sturdier, chunkier option really. So that's why I went for 4x2. But it is just to try and make it so anyone can get it. If I go make it out of sweet chestnut, I've got some raised beds to make it out of sweet chestnut. Not everyone can get a hold of that. And yeah, it just makes it a bit trickier what you can replace it with. And yeah, it'd be lovely to make this out of sweet chestnut or out of oak or something like that, wouldn't it? But I want to see how it goes for now as well. So we'll just go with this and see how it goes. So yes, opening myself up to criticism as always. I tell you what, you make a video, you open yourself up to criticism. But I have put some thought into it, and I just feel that this is probably the best option for me at the moment. So yeah, readily available, should last a good 10 years. Yeah. So I cut these 2 lengths down to 3.6, which is my back piece. And now we'll cut some uprights at the 3 foot, whatever it is. Love mixing my measurements. 3 foot 2 inches. I will do that in imperial, in metric in a second. And then we'll lay them out, and we'll work out some halving joints where we're going to cut them. I thought we'll make it we'll make it look nice. Make it look nice. Yeah. So let's just cut some more bits up then. Right, so I've got it marked out. Now it's just a case of got these 2 flat up against each other, and I can transfer the lines across for our halving joints. You could just use a piece, it's all regularised, it's all about the same. Use a piece of this now, work out the width. Then we know where we're going. Nice and square across. Okay, because the way the mitosaur is set up, when it's cutting, and I don't want to go full depth, I've got this little gauge there, but if you notice, that's pushed right back now. It doesn't go, so if you had it flat, it doesn't go all the way back. So what you have to actually do is step out the piece of wood that you're working on, just of anything really, some scrap wood like that. Then that will give us a clean, smooth bottom, what we all want. And it just means that we haven't got that kind of curve at the end that we've got to sort out. So just pack it off the edge. If you've got a sliding mitosaur like mine, some are better than that. So I think the Festool one, I think that goes flat all the way back. I've had this saw 20 years. It's never let me down. It's It's probably the best bit of kit I own in some respects, just because of reliability. I bought some brushes for it a few years ago, thinking they've got to wear out at some point. I use it every day, and it never has. I have changed the blade lots of times. You've got to keep these things sharp, keep them going, you know, oil it up, do that, look after it. But what a saw. What an absolute saw. Right, let's do some chopping. All the uprights out, short of it. I've got a lot of halving joints to do, so, and my chisel's looking a bit rough from some normal carpentry work on renovations, which always kind of destroys them. So I just put a fresh edge back on them now. Okay, we've got a really satisfied bit now. We're going to smash off all these bits, kind of like AMSR, I suppose, because I quite like the sound of this. Ah, it's not going to break. We're going to smash these off. Then we can either tidy up with a chisel, or we can use a rebate plane, a 778. But I mean, if your chisel's sharp, you should be getting it like this, really. Then lay your chisel on top, make sure it's flat, move on to the next one. You see how easy that comes off with a sharp chisel, why it's worth sharpening your chisels before you start. I'm using my elbow to rest on here, it can't go into my arm. Around that way, chisel on the line where we're going. Oh, it's like butter, isn't it? And again, we're not making a fine piece of furniture, are we? We're making a compost bin. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I mean, that's pretty clean. Only takes a few seconds to do. It's a good job because we've got a lot of these. Because I'm just thinking now, we'll make this frame for the back, which will brace up, and we'll make the same frame for the front, which will have the gates in it. So we're going to do this twice. So it's quite a bit of work to try and get it done, but it shouldn't really take us that long, he says. That's the other way. Just hit it. If in doubt, give it a clout. And yeah, where we got knots, it's a bit harder. Right, I need to make another one of those, and the 4 panels to go in between. I'm trying to do it so it's modular, so there's not so many different size things. So if I make another frame that goes on the front, okay, you're going to have to scoop round that when you get your compost out, but I think it'd be better. Yeah, it's the front and back frame made. So I might add some bracing, we'll see how strong it is. Not quite sure yet. But now I need to make the 1, 2, 3, 4 middle panels. Okay, we'll cut up some bits now, just for the frames that will go between 4 frames. 1.1 long, the 98 high. So for the end frames, I'm putting 4 braces in, and for the middle ones, just 2. I mean, it only needs 2 really, because that will firm it up. But just look a bit nicer, I thought, having extra couple. Okay, so now we're going to put the mesh on the back before we put the side pieces in, because, well, you've got a way to fix it. So I'm just using fencing staples. Try and stagger them if you're going into the same piece of grain. That's a good one to pull out first of all, isn't it? It's going to be a lot of use. But yeah, try and stagger it so it's not in the same piece of grain, otherwise it will split. So these are quite big fencing staples. I could probably do something smaller. Doesn't need too many. So I'm going to use 3 pieces here, cut it with the grinder. Okay, that's looking good. Solid as a rock, actually. Begin to wonder if I should have put a front frame on or not. It is going to be restrictive. Yeah, I'll hold it all together better, wouldn't it? Oh, hay fever. Oh, hay fever. Bad. Why'd you do this to me? Bit of a monster, isn't it? It's quite a big compost bin. I've gone all out with this. There's no joke. One thing I don't like about it is this cross piece across here, because to make it awkward if I do decide to move compost from one bay to another. But it does make it really, really solid, so it's kind of like 6 of one, half dozen the other, really. I could add some braces on the back here, but I think my halving joints, I mean, there's no movement in that at all. So part of me thinks I should put braces on, part of me thinks there's halving joints, there's plenty of surface area there kind of holding it all together, so I'm not going to bother. So bolt this front up now, then we can make some doors, fit them. So what we're going to do is sandwich these middle ones so that the compost isn't just sitting on the wood all the time. Hopefully it slow it down rotting and provide a bit more airflow maybe. Okay, for the door, I'm going to do the same trick again. Just some halving joints, one brace. And the brace always points down towards the hinges, so you can see when someone's put them on the wrong way. And I won't be argued with on that one. So we'll make sure we put the braces on the right way. Okay, so I'm to cut some mesh of the doors. It's raining outside, so I just thought I'd do it in here now. These pieces aren't quite long enough, but saves cutting another full sheet up, so just use my offcuts up. And it's pushing on the brace there, so it's not so bad anyway. Oops. Obviously you don't have to use mesh quite as substantial as this stuff. There's plenty of mesh out there. Use chicken wire, use Avery mesh, whatever you got really. This is some stuff that I had left from a job, so it worked perfectly. Should do grinded in shorts either. Right, so it's another day. I'm going to make the roofs for it now. I haven't got quite enough 4x2 and it might be too heavy. That's the excuse I could use. So I'm going to use some 2x2 that I've got left over from the chicken tractor build to make the fronts and backs, and then some 4x2s down the side, and then maybe one down the middle to help support the roof and to help support the mesh as well. So, or maybe not in the middle, depends where the mesh falls. Okay, so we cut those. They're all slightly different size, so it's going to be 2 4-foot bays and the middle one's going to be slightly smaller. And we're just going to screw them together. We're not going to do anything fancy, so it's going to be 2x2 this way, 4x2 coming into it, 4-inch screws, 4-inch screws, hold it together. Then we'll nail some mesh on the underside, and that creates our kind of mesh cube then that will try and keep the big furry things with horrible scaly tails out of my compost. That's the plan. So we cut these up. Then we get cracking. Excuse my hay fever, it's gone mental today. I think it's kind of cruel to have hay fever if you work outside all the time, but I've had it for 20 years. So I've heard it's meant to go 20-year cycles. So, you know, 41 now. Come on, hay fever, you can disappear. Bit of insider information. What I was saying in the magazine article is not that I've run out of timber and I didn't want to go and get some more. I will say that I'm doing this to reduce the weight of the roof, which I kind of am, and but I don't want to go get any more because who wants to drive to Ledbury? Okay, so screwing these bits of roofs together, it's worth putting some pilot holes into the 2x2 just because it's that much smaller more likely to split. Right, so these are the roof pieces in. Obviously got the mesh, it's not going to make it, so I'm going to put another piece of 4x2 in, which will be on the hinge side to kind of keep the weight down, but just means that it's got somewhere to finish on. It rained yesterday, it's so muddy and sticky underfoot, about 2 inches taller than I should be. There you go, that's my inch weld mesh cube. And the idea is I'll be able to just, it's heavier than I thought actually, lift that up, it's not too bad. Depends how strong you are, doesn't it? Looks like, because of the way it's kind of all staggered, I have to put in a little block to carry the hinge there a little bit. This bit of 2x2 just screwed on the side solves the problem with the hinge. Years ago I was told, you can tell the carpenter's hung a door because there's always a screw missing out the hinge. Okay, so we need a prop now to hold it open. I need some more hinges, which I haven't got, so they're coming tomorrow. Nothing going to be simple. So I've obviously done these 4-foot bays, which works really well with any timber you buy. As you can see, roofing sheets are never that size. They're meant to cover 900, I think, about 3 foot. So you've always got the overlap. So, need to cut down another piece. This is some old stuff off one of Dad's barns that got redone. To bridge any gaps that I've got. They're obviously different widths, but it doesn't really matter. And then we'll tech screw it down. I need to cut them to length a little bit as well. Now we're not skinning cats, but if we were, there'd be many ways of doing it. The same with cutting this roofing material. Used to nearly always use the grinder, but since I have got a nibbler, and that doesn't use loads of grinding discs, I will use that. Whether I can keep it straight or not is a different matter. A tip for the top as well, especially something at this kind of height, is always round off the corners, because it could hurt me, but that is like my children's eye height, so I want to try and round those off, so that like they're not going to stab themselves in the eye. Sometimes you forget how far battery techs come. When we used to do a lot of barns with Dad, you used to have to take your cables up there and you had a proper tech gun that run at the right speed. Now your pet driver just puts in tech screws through tin, no problem at all. But we kind of like just become used to it. Now, like I said, it should really be in the higher spots of the tin. My tech screws are quite short and I'm not buying any more. So they will do for a compost bin. So these will form the little catches. I mean, I could put bolts on there, but obviously it costs more money. So put a screw in each one of these. Doesn't want to go more than 4 inches. Not a screw, but we'll bolt it so it doesn't go undone. So let's go with a bit of old shiplap to make a bit of a slamming strip and still look quite tidy. We're doing top and bottom, so then when the compost pushing against it, it's not twisting the frame. But yeah, this is potentially a bit heavy. Definitely a negative. I mean, I'm quite a strong guy. It's not too bad. But I've done it so it will fold just over. And that means then I can do the same with this one when I'm changing over. But that is a downside. It is probably a bit heavy. So there we go. My 3-bay composting system made up. A few things I'm not sure about. I'm not sure about this top rail. So I don't know quite how it's going to work when I'm turning compost, which isn't a job to do that often. Whether it's going to get in the way, I'm not sure. The size, I could have gone a little bit higher, I suppose. It's just under 4 foot high. Well, 3 foot something high. So I could have gone a little bit higher. The mesh is 25 mil. I know it won't keep out small, it will only keep out big rats. It won't keep out small rats. So there's that side of it as well. I can obviously line it again with some Avery mesh. This is really strong stuff. I mean, that's not going anywhere. It's not going to bow at all. If you're going to make this with thinner mesh, I'd recommend putting some extra struts around it to try and support it. Would probably be the best thing. But yeah, I like how it looks. I put this on Twitter. A load of people said you could just build it out of pallets. I know you can build it out of pallets, and I have done that. But it always looks like it's made out of pallets, and it rots in a few years. So I'm hoping this is going to last a bit longer, especially the overhang on the roof. The slab then steps down, so it's not sat in water. It's only going to have the water from the composting materials, and hopefully that won't be too bad. So we'll have to see how they last, and I'll report back. But I'm really looking forward to using these, getting these filled up. I'm fairly sure it wouldn't take me long to fill them now, to be honest with you. But yeah, let's see how we go. Hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you don't think it's too extreme for a compost bin. I like things to look nice. Probably over-engineered a little bit. Quite good fun to build. Yeah, but thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Also, let me know in the comments how you'd build a set of compost bins. Would you just go for the pallet ones, or do you wish you had something a bit fancier, looked a bit nicer? Let me know. It seems to be that everyone composts slightly differently, so it's really interesting to find out. This week, I'm going to be making compost bins. This is a stupid start to it.